And then staying on the theme of World Cup marketing, FIFA is extremely notorious for this. They will not let any corporate logos be displayed on premises for World Cup matches uh, unless they're a sponsor. So you have to sponsor the event, the World Cup, and not just the venue that the World Cup is being hosted at, or something to do with the venue. You have to sponsor the World Cup directly. And so if you go into the hospitality boxes, they'll have rows of condiments, pretty much any sauce you could imagine, and they all have their logos and their brand marks completely redacted, like just tape on everything. And when somebody brings a refill in, you can't put the new bottle of ketchup down until you've blocked out Heinz and all of their trademarks and stuff like that. This extends to the exterior of the stadium as well. So Levi's have the naming rights to the stadium, and FIFA told them that they have to cover it up. Uh, and this is a regular thing. Like when a World Cup is being broadcast or the Champions League is being broadcast, they will not refer to any stadiums by their sponsorship names. It's just the name of the team or the city that they're in. Uh, but they're doing
Yeah,
this as
so for
well.
the folks that, if you are watching the World Cup, the reason why the stadiums are being called the Los Angeles Stadium, the San Francisco Stadium, the New Jersey,
Yeah,
New York Stadium instead of SoFi, MetLife and Levi
yeah,
Stadium is because of this.
yeah. It's all money.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, like, when they covered up the Levi's logo, like they did it with the tarp in the shape of the actual logo outline, and everybody knows what logo it is.
Mhm.
When they cover up all the Heinz names on the packaging, everybody still knows what that bottle is. They know what the French's mustard bottle looks like. It's the same with like the Hellman's mayonnaise. There's so many identifiable brand marks available to these products that you can cover up the name, but people still know it. And I
Mhm.
feel like when it comes to the digital side, it could be like a media brand or it could be a tech product. There's just not a lot of flexibility or opportunity to create something that transcends the name of the company. And I would love to know what you think in terms of if you're talking about a terminally online brand or a digital brand, a digital first brand, and there's no physical product to speak of, like how do you get remembered? What are the things that you would like to see brands do?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, what we're seeing here with like the logos, right? It was like Levi's covered it, but then it also became a social media campaign where it replaced the logos on all their social channels. So it was like part of like, haha, Levi's is showing you what their brand is anyway. But it's definitely, part of the logo already being iconic, right? So I feel like some tech companies already have that, right? Like the Google logo is pretty iconic just in terms of like the letters and the colors. As I'm going through like which companies, we're starting to see what we were talking about earlier, which is like that, like, reversion to the mean where like so many companies are starting to like lose their sans serif font in order to become, serif font. And just like all of them are just becoming the word and
Yeah,
have like no other identifying feature. Like reminds me of there was that company, was it Bob's, Bob's like milk company that does like flour and like granola and stuff. They got rid of the old man and just made it the font, right? And it's funny because it's like that would be like an identifying feature, and
yeah,
companies are removing it themselves to become, I don't know, more like boring. We saw it with Cracker Barrel last year, right? Where it's like they got rid of the man and the barrel. Um, and, there was such a backlash that they reverted back to it, right? Because people were like,
yeah,
"Why would you do this?" So I think that's part of like, part of the same theme here, where it's like, how do you kind of build up, so much brand awareness that like, your users and your customers know you just from the way that like you your logo looks, but then also in the way that you speak to them. Like, is there a particular
Yeah.
voice, like the Duolingo voice, right? Like, we know Duolingo and they're like, what's that called? They're like insane marketing, right? It's funny because
Yeah.
the example earlier of like DoorDash, right? Like the Duolingo like person who made Duolingo the brand and had that voice and everything is now at DoorDash. So shouldn't surprise us that that's the unhinged marketing is starting to find its way to like DoorDash. But like, what are, things like that that you can do? Is there a particular voice that sounds more like you? Is there, like, your values? Like, what are these different things that like are specific to your brand that you can highlight a little bit more, for your users and audience to like know about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. For me, the litmus test these days is uh, if we were to take the same piece of content or the same marketing asset that five other competitors in our category also have, and we took all of the identifying marks out of it and we put them into the same Claude layout, would people be able to tell that this is brand X versus brand Y?
Mm,
Uh, and what ends up happening is frequently people end up talking about the same things. And this is a big reason why I tell tech products not to over index on features for their messaging, because everybody has certain features that you really can't kind of differentiate on that. 'Cause tomorrow, somebody who doesn't have this feature that you have can come in and build that feature.
mhm,
But if you have a point of view on how the industry should function
mhm,
and how you want to move forward with it and what the industry could look like in 3 years and what you believe the role should look like, that's something that you have that other people don't have. If you bring your founder's experiences into it, I started this because I had a problem. I'm
mhm,
like the customer that I want to sell to. I come from that background. I know ball,
mhm,
that becomes an identifying tone of voice. And then when you just end up saying the same stuff, and especially if you're going to use LLMs to write it,
mhm,
I can't see a lot of opportunity to be different. And at the moment you come up in comparison with somebody who is doing those things differently and uniquely, it's really tough to win on, like, to be remembered, to win on uniqueness. Um,
mhm.
all of those things become extremely difficult. So, yeah, I think the way you talk, the way you build things, the way you go about uh, creating your marketing assets, all of this makes a huge difference in a world where there's no physical, tangible product.
Yeah, yeah. I think also recognizing the fact that they have such iconic like logos and brands that like people
Yeah,
still recognize the design and like shape of them shows how important that actually is, and I think when companies give that up to like modernize, they're giving up a lot of their own personal brand equity, and,
yeah,
like, why would you do that, Like, at a time when, like, everybody, wants to stand out and wants something different, these are the things that you should invest in, right? Like, what are things that are recognizable about our brand? The logo, our point of view, the voice, the CEO, the way they talk. This is, like, one of the reasons why, I focus on, yapping, as a thing where it's like, how do you get the CEO and people within the companies to talk about their knowledge in a way that is relatable and like gets people to understand what it is that you're building and why you're the best team to like build it. I think that like thought leadership still, there's so much room there for growth, for people's voices to come out and to show that like there's like we were talking earlier with like Obama and Mamdani, like why ball and like why your vision for the future, and the way that you think about things is what people want to, get in on, right? It's
yeah,
like if you can get people to like come around to your vision, then they'll become a like user user or like a customer for your product. And I think that like there's not enough of that going out there, that like it's not just the brand itself that can separate itself, but also like the CEO. What is the CEO or the founder out there doing in order to show like why they care, you know? And I think
Yeah.
that, you know, coming back to that founder insight of why it matters, that like you're building this thing, like what was the thing that you think that you can do different from all the other companies, will invite people into the journey with you. And I know that we
Yeah.
rag on, you know, the whole building in public a lot because like some of it can be cringe, but I still think that like storytelling and getting people to come in on the journey with you is one of the best ways to market to them, because you're not just selling to them a product, you're selling to them a vision of what you think the future is, for your industry. And then for the type of product that you're building, like why your product deserves to exist and what you're doing that's different, from all the other brands out there. So that would be a lesson for this.